Good Sunday morning to everyone. I hope you are doing well this Sunday morning. I'm actually doing pretty well. Um, I was looking through videos this morning and I came across this video by Miley Carter. And she's talking about how she is homeless in Atlanta and is now about to apply for food stamps. Now, I don't know where she's living, like I don't know if she's living out of her car or whatever, but in order for you to apply for food stamps, you gotta have an address. I applied for food stamps many, many years ago. I applied for food stamps like, I don't know, 2004 or something. It was a really, really long time ago. I applied for food stamps, and you have to have an address to apply for them. But the interesting part about this is she just burst out of nowhere and decided to tell the truth about her situation. And that takes a lot of bravery. And she did say once she decided to do this, that a lot of people, offered to send her donations and to send it via PayPal or Cash App. Now, I don't know her PayPal or her Cash App, but if you can, send her donations. If not, don't feel pressure because I know how some people feel about sending donations to people that they don't know. But I do want anyone who just wants to hear more about her story to go to her channel. I do want to make everyone aware of the fact that this is a person who is um, a part of the LGBT community, the LGBTQ element of P. And you know me, I support the LGBT community because, of course, I'm bisexual. And those of you that don't know, my former moderator was actually transgender and she lives in Atlanta as well. And I wanted to speak about this specifically because my thing is when you have this type of transparency on YouTube, and you put yourself out there or any social media platform and you're asking for help, okay? It takes a lot of courage. Like, I think people think that it's easy to ask other people for money. Like, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people have a significant amount of pride. So, asking for money is very, very difficult for them to do. Or to even be not even really be asking for money, but to simply just be honest about their specific situation, to be who they are and to be that raw and vulnerable is like really, really hard. So I'm like commending this person for being that way. It takes a lot to do that. I actually respect this person simply off of that because it's too many people out there who don't feel comfortable in themselves. And a lot of people feel like, well, I'll go through this all on my own because it ain't nobody's business anyway. But like I've said in a lot of videos, like closed mouths don't get fed. If you need help, you need to speak up. Because I mean, usually, like for instance, when I'm financially stable, right? I always tell people if you need something, ask me for it because 9 times out of 10, if I have it, I'll give it to you because I'm in a place to where I can share my wealth. And I'm a generous person in that way. I do tell people don't be too generous because that's a mistake I made because people will leash off you. It is people out there that scam. It is people out there that's fraudulent. But 9 times out of 10, even if a person is doing a scam or something that's fraudulent, or like for instance, when people steal and stuff like that, they're doing that to feed themselves or their family. And once I came to that realization, I stopped caring about what people would actually do with my money when I gave it to them. Because when bums would come to me on the street, not this person. Don't think that I'm saying this person is a bum on the street, because I know how people like to twist words. You know how you're walking down the street and you see a hobo, you see a homeless person, right? They're probably a drunk, they can be on drugs, they could be, you could tell they haven't had a shower. They're just low on life. So when they come to me and they ask me for money, right? I never judge what they spend it on. Some people would be like, well, I don't want to give a homeless person money because I don't want them to spend it on drugs or alcohol. Well, for me, I am the person that, listen, you need to get whatever it is that you need to get, whether it's a shower, a tampon, a banana. Listen, whatever it is that you feel like you need to get to help you through today, what you do with the money that I put in your hand is your business. And I feel like a lot of people feel like once their money leaves their pocket and is in the hands of someone else, it's still their business what that person does with their money. That's ridiculous to me, because when I go to the grocery store and I buy something for myself to eat and I give the cashier my money, I don't give a fuck what she does with it after that. I went and got me something to eat. I got what I need. So whatever that cashier is doing or whatever the grocery store is doing with my money is my business. Like once I've handed it over to you, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it from then on. You know what I mean? Like people really want to like stalk their money. Like once it leaves their hand, they want to put a tracking device on it to make sure it goes to the right place. But the right place to you and the right place to the person that you're giving it to could be two very, very different things. And I've realized that. So, when I donate stuff like that, I don't really care about what people do with their money. But I do want to say, when you see homeless people, because it's a lot of homeless people in Atlanta. It's a lot of people that come to Atlanta and think that they're gonna make it. Or some people come to Atlanta and they actually have a plan and that plan falls through. Atlanta to me is not a hard place to live. You understand what I'm saying? Like the cost of living is very, very low. And for me, because I was in the IT industry, it was easy for me to find a decent job and live in a very, upscale way, because I'm in IT. But if you have a different type of job, like maybe you're a cosmetologist or a stylist, like I believe that this Miley Carter person is, at least from her videos, she does beauty and fashion. So I'm not sure what she does as a regular 9 to 5, but there are cosmetologists, stylists, makeup artists, rap artists, models, singers, entrepreneurs, business owners. I mean, it is a ridiculous amount of that in Atlanta. And in any area that you live in economically, it has to make sense. It has to be a supply and demand type of thing when you're thinking about where you want to live or where you want to try to start your life. Atlanta is oversaturated with so much bullshit that when you go there and you think you're about to live like this amazing life because you see love and hip hop, or you see people using their Instagram or their Facebook to try to make it seem like Atlanta's like this amazing place. The reality of the situation is a lot of what's happening in Atlanta is hype. It's hype. It's a place, and usually this is what Black people do. They hype shit up to make it more than what it is. That's why you can look at a person who may look like they're wealthy, and then 9 times out of 10, that BMW they're driving, they don't even have any gas money. They don't have any gas money to put in that car. They don't even have the money to maintenance that car. You understand? So Atlanta is about looking wealthy. Atlanta is about hood rich, not about actually being rich. Because if you'd have looked at this mighty Miley Carter person, you see her hair looks nice, her makeup is nice, her nails are nice, but she's homeless. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like not to say this person is a bad person because we all have like things that we go through, like I went through it. So I can't look at this person and think this person is a bad person. I can say that I went through it in Atlanta myself. But the amazing part about me is when I was homeless, I looked it. Like when I was sick, I looked it. I looked like if you go through my videos, if you go through my Priest Plus Ray videos, and you'll see how I went from like looking like I was financially stable and everything was amazing to suddenly my health starting to decline and I'm starting to look like I don't have any money. You see the difference, like you'll see it like gradually happen. And then if you look at me now, you can tell, oh, Soncerae is evidently in a much better place because she's financially better and she's healthy. Like you can look at her and tell. That's the trick with Atlanta. Everyone looks like they're someone or something, but behind closed doors, their lives are completely different. And I've taken it upon myself to always be real on my channel and to always be myself on my channel. And the one thing I've always spoken about in regards to Atlanta is that it's hype there, you know. Um, the LGBT community, because it's so many homosexual, bisexual, transgender people there, and their lives are a lot harder. Like I'm bisexual, but it's not to a point where I'm flamboyant and I have this sign on my forehead that says I'm LGBT and like it's not the same when you're transgender or you're homosexual or you're lesbian. It's not the same. These people live life and people judge them. So finding a job could be hard. Finding a decent place to live could be hard. And, I've had transgender friends, right, struggle in the area that they're living in, not because of they can't pay their rent, not because they can't pay their utilities, but because their neighbors and the people around them harass them because they're part of the LGBT community. So there are certain areas inside of Atlanta the LGBT people can't even go to because it's too dangerous. And that's just anywhere in the world in regards to, people who are part of that community. People tend to like treat these people like trash, you know? And it's sad to me. It's unfortunate because people are people. Like, I can't wait for the day for people to look in the mirror and realize that they are different from the person that's sitting next to them or their neighbor or, the person that they're driving along the highway with. We're all like different. And what someone else does with their life is not our business. It's not our business. If we want to contribute to helping someone improve, that makes us a better person. But at the end of the day, that person's business is their business. And it doesn't affect our lives like that. So why do we care so much that someone decides to be a part of the LGBT community? It just really doesn't make any sense to me. I wish people would let that go, and people who are Christian or want to bring up the Bible and LGBT, that shit is just like, that's a whole nother live stream. Like, don't even get me started on all of the things that the Bible has in it that at one point was okay in the Bible, and then in another part of the Bible, it's a problem. So anyway, I just want people to go check this video out because when I saw it and she was saying that she was going to, that she initially told the story not to get donations. She was just telling the story because she was in a messed up situation. It just made me think about when I was in my messed up situation. I wasn't necessarily homeless. I was like in an extended stay hotel, and I could have went to a friend's house and stayed. But once I got pregnant, it was like hard for me to go to my friends and say, "Hey, let me stay with you. I'm pregnant and sick." It was like I didn't want to be a burden on my friends. I didn't want to be my friend's responsibility because I felt like I'm pregnant. This is something I did, with my partner. So me and my partner should be looking out for each other. And the fact that my partner has left me here to fend for myself while I'm sick. And the last thing I want to do is be that burden onto one of my friends to go to California. I mean, California is where my family is. I've been wanting to go to California, and I can be financially stable there, especially in San Francisco, being as though I'm part of IT. I will easily find something in San Francisco. Work should be easy. People say San Francisco is the one of the most expensive places to live in California. It's actually places in California that have the cost of living that Atlanta has. Like people say California is extremely expensive. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you have dreams to live in California, there are places here in California where the cost of living is actually low. Now, it may not be like living in Metropolis or some shit. Like San Francisco is a beautiful city. San Francisco is beautiful. Like you'll be like, oh my God, the money that I spend in this place is almost worth it because it's gorgeous, right? Like it looks like a dream. But there are other places in California that kind of look normal, like you're in another state, like you're in damn Idaho or Wyoming or some shit. And it's cheaper to live because it's not necessarily a big city and you know, it's just not the same. So when people think of California, they think of the California dream. We want the palm trees. We want the ocean, the beaches. We want the people with the nice bodies, and everybody's fucking vegan and bringing their dogs into the grocery store and restaurants. That's what they think of when they think of California. But I'm here to tell you that there are places in California that you can actually afford because they're like every other part of the United States. So I think people think that all of California is like that. All of California is not like that. And yeah, I didn't know that until I got here. But homelessness is everywhere. And here's the interesting part. The cheaper places to live in California, they don't really have a lot of homeless people. That's the strange part because the most expensive places to live in California is where all of the homeless people are. But then when you go to these areas where it's cheaper to live, I guess because it might be because it's more spread out, suburban areas. It's more spread out. It's not necessarily a city. So you don't see as many homeless people. Like I rarely see homeless people out in the suburbs. I see them in the city of San Francisco. And that's how it was in Atlanta. Like the closer you were to Atlanta and in the city was where you would see people who are homeless. But if you would go out to the suburban areas that were actually cheaper to live, because see, to me, it makes sense to live in the suburbs and then you could just take that 20-minute or 30-minute drive into the city whenever you want to party or whenever you want to XYZ, right? That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is actually living in the city when it's as expensive as it is, right? Living in the city and struggling. That doesn't make any sense to me. So especially struggling to the point that you might end up homeless or you might end up, that's just too much. It just makes more sense to live in the suburbs, but everybody wants to live in the city. Nah, I think you should live in the suburbs and drive out to the city to party or to work or whatever the case is, and then take your ass back to, suburbia. You know what I mean? That makes more sense to me. So anyway, that's what I did when I was in Atlanta. I always lived in the suburban areas. Now here's the thing: people think because you lived in suburban areas, you don't know shit about Atlanta. Well, no, I lived in Atlanta and the surrounding areas for 17 years. So when you've been living somewhere that long, you start driving all over the place, and you start seeing different areas, different surrounding areas, or even areas inside of the city. People was like, well, you don't know anything about Atlanta because you lived in Gwinnett County or you lived in DeKalb County. No, DeKalb County was probably 10 minutes away from the city of Atlanta. Some places you can go in DeKalb County, you can walk down the street a block and you're in Atlanta. Say that's how close like DeKalb County was. Clayton County, and not Clayton County, but like Clarkston and stuff like that. So um of course, I know a lot about Atlanta, and there were homeless people in DeKalb County, like in Decatur, and the heavily populated areas that were predominantly Black. You see a lot of poverty, and you saw a lot of poverty amongst Hispanics, and that's one thing I don't see here in California. For some reason, I don't see a lot of homeless or low poverty Hispanics. The Hispanics here are like financially in a great place. Like I really see them. When I do see homeless people here in San Francisco, they're white. That's the difference between homelessness in Atlanta and homelessness in San Francisco. The homeless in Atlanta are predominantly Black. The homeless here in California are predominantly white. I just, it's so shocking to me because I had never seen it. I had never seen it. Now I seen homeless people when I was living in Washington D.C. I grew up in Washington D.C. I'm from Washington D.C. So I seen homeless people of all colors in D.C. But I had never seen as much homelessness until I got to Atlanta. Now it's a lot of homelessness in Washington D.C., but it's a lot of homelessness in New York. It's a lot of homelessness in major cities. So I feel like people, if you're homeless, right, try to go out to the suburban areas and try to find, places, little clusters where they have like a little transit system and you can find work. But what I do want to say, and I think I was trying to say this earlier and I got off topic, there are so many homosexuals and transgender people, people who are part of the LGBT community in the city of Atlanta. You would think they would have like these places that you know these people could go, like transitional housing or some type of shelter, because you don't want to put a homosexual or transgender person in a regular shelter with regular people, because just how I said there are certain areas inside of Atlanta a LGBT person can't go. They need to go to a specific place because it's dangerous. It's just flat out dangerous for them. And I just wish it was more like housing, like some type of programs for people who have chosen to live this type of lifestyle. They have somewhere inside of this country, they even have like programs and housing for convicted felons who have served their time already, right? They have those type of programs. So if that's okay to have, I don't understand why it's not okay to have some type of housing or program for people who are part of the LGBT. It's the same thing with they have like programs for single mothers. Like people try to say that I shouldn't have started Happiness Seeds um, as a trust fund for teens inside of the foster care system because the state supposedly gives teens in the foster care system free college education. But that's not the case in every single state. Only certain states do that. And even if that was the case to where the government or there was some type of scholarships or programs for teens who are in foster care, right? Why couldn't I be another company that provides programs and scholarships for teens who are in foster care? Just because there's one like agency that does that doesn't mean another one can't be started. You understand? That's like me saying, oh, there's only one church on the corner. So that means I can't go create another church of my own 2 or 3 or 4 streets down. People have different processes the way that they handle things. So my program or my church or my institution or my housing, transitional housing place could provide different services than the one that's already up. So I feel like a lot of people try to make me feel guilty for starting Happiness Seeds and asking for donations for it. But really, my money goes into it as well. I mean, anybody who's interested, their money goes into it. I do want to, I'm gonna start telling y'all who's donating, not really telling you, but giving these people a shout out because it takes a lot, just how it takes a lot to have courage to say that you're going through something like this. It takes a lot of courage to donate your money. Like a lot of people, you know, don't feel comfortable with donating their money, but it makes you like you're such an amazing person if you do that. You're a big person. Like it takes a lot to be that generous to a complete stranger. So that's amazing to me. I commend anyone who does that. Like, I've done it so many times myself. So, I've been on both sides of the coin. Like I've been, like I said before, I've been extremely wealthy at some points, and I have been extremely poor at some points. Um, I remember when I was in college and I was sleeping like at the train station, still going to college. And I would take any money that I was making and I would put it towards college. But I would turn around and I would sleep at the train station. And when the students in my class found out I was homeless, this one girl, and I'll never forget this, she was bipolar, but she had this large, like 5-bedroom house that she was living in because her family had given it to her. She came from a very wealthy family, and she was living in like this 5-bedroom house. So she gave me a room. And for a couple of semesters that year in college, she let me live there with her. And I always, will appreciate her for that. Like I will forever be in debt. But dealing with her bipolar, she felt like because I was dealing with her bipolar, that was my payment. Because dealing with someone who has a mental illness is extremely difficult. Like I'm not even going to get into that in this live stream, but dealing with someone who has a mental illness is very difficult, okay? So when people say to me, that I have a mental illness, or I've seen that in my comment section, and I've gotten upset with people because I don't think it's funny to fling around that someone has a mental illness just to insult them, because I've been around people who actually have them, and that's just not funny. It's not something that needs to be used as an insult to insult somebody. There are people out there who are literally having like mental issues, and those people are also why they end up homeless. They end up homeless as well because it's hard for them to keep a job. There aren't a lot of programs in transitional housing for these people either. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it's so many homeless people out there, because there are people out there who have a hard life who are different. And anyone who is different from what society wants everybody to be, these people are punished. And their lives are a lot harder than they have to be because they're being judged by a whole bunch of people that don't have this illness or don't have this lifestyle, or, were dealt a better hand. I feel like I wish there was just more things out there, more resources for people who have chosen to live a different lifestyle than the average. And I guess with time, when people start realizing being different is more acceptable than all of us being cookie cut, there will be more programs and be more um opportunities out there for people who are different. I was telling my mother, we were talking about homosexuality inside of the military. And the don't ask, don't tell policy. We were talking about that. And she was saying that anyone who is homosexual that is deciding to be a part of the military, especially while Trump is in office. And the reason why we start talking about the military to begin with is because my daughter has decided to go to the Air Force, right? And so she's in ROTC at school. And so she's decided to go to the Air Force. So we're having like this general conversation about the military. So me and my mother just started talking about why it was a bad idea for my daughter to join the military while Trump was in office. And so then we started talking about everything that has to do with the military. We started talking about the don't ask, don't tell policy and Trump in regards to that. And she said she feels like anyone who is joining the military um, if they are homosexual, she feels like they shouldn't be open about it. And I said, "Ma, that's like the stupidest thing you could tell a homosexual person." Like, like, why would you tell a person not to be themselves just so they can be in the military? That doesn't make any sense. People who are homosexual and want to be a part of the military, what they need to do is say, "I'm homosexual, and yeah, it's okay for me to still be a part of the military." You understand? Like, don't hide the fact that you are a part of that, community. Don't, try to sweep it under the rug and pretend like that's not who you are. Do you know how many people you hurt when you do that? Because see, for example, like what's the face? What's the face decided just suddenly in his late 60s to be a woman? Um, Bruce Jenner. Bruce damn Jenner. Do you realize how long Bruce Jenner was hiding the fact that he was transgender? Do you know how long he hid the fact that he's always, I mean, always felt like he was a woman? He's been hiding that long before he met a Kardashian. And it took him all of this time to finally say, all of this time I've wanted to be a woman. Do you know how many people he hurt? He hurt his kids. Do you know how many kids he has? He hurt his kids. He used to be with, he hurt Kris Jenner. Do you know how hurtful that shit is? To have hid who you are from the people who loved you. Don't do that. From the people that admire you, from the people that have friendships with you. When you hide who you are from them, it hurts them so much when they find out who you are. They feel it makes because they feel like, oh, I wasn't good enough for you to actually be yourself, especially when I've always been myself around you. It's so hurtful. And if anything, anyone who is part of the LGBT community or any type of group that may be diverse, whether it's in regards to your sexuality or your ethnicity, your race, whatever it is, right? Fight for your right to be equal to everyone else. Now, don't get it twisted. For some reason, right? For some reason, I do not feel that way in regards to sex. Not sex, the act of sex. I mean gender. Like, you know how quality in regards to gender? Of course, there are so many amazing things that women should be able to do that women weren't doing before, like voting, being able to get the same job as men get, stuff like that. That's what women should be fighting for. But we are never going to be biologically men. Men are have a different makeup. You know what I mean? So I sometimes I look at the whole not I don't want to say feminist thing. I look at the whole feminist thing and I'm like a little disgusted, like, ugh, you know, I a woman hear me roar, let me burn my bra type of situation. Like sometimes I look at it and I'm like, oh, these women who want to be men so bad. But that's why the gender roles have been blurred so much and society is kind of lately, but I still feel like, people who have made like different choices and because of this choice, people classify it as a poor choice and they want to treat you less. They feel like you're less than who you are or you're less than a human being. People try to dehumanize you if you make a choice that's different from theirs. And that's what I feel like is wrong. You can't really choose your gender, like you can't really choose it, but at the same time, you can change it if you want. You know what I mean? Like you're born with your gender and your race, right? So a lot of the times that diversity people feel, very strongly about. So if you're black, if you're black, you have like the world almost against you. So you want to fight for black rights, right? If you're female, you know that you have certain people against you because you're female. So you want to fight for female rights, right? But when it comes to sexuality, the question that pops into everybody's mind is, were you born homosexual? Were you born transgender, or is it a choice? Are you choosing to be with women and you're a woman? Are you choosing to be with men and you're a man? Are you choosing to dress like a woman when you're a man? Or are you choosing to dress like a man when you're a woman? Like, is that a choice? And so at the end of the day, here's what I think in regards to that. And I still think, even if it's a choice or whether you're born that way, I still think that you should fight for your right to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do, whether you were born that way, whether you chose that or not. So here's what I think about homosexuality and transgender people, and whether they're born this way or it's a choice. I believe it's not that cut and dry. I believe some were born that way, and I believe some chose to be that. I believe some were born normal and then they were introduced to something, maybe a gay aunt or uncle, or maybe they were sexually abused or assaulted or molested, and then they turned into a homosexual or transgender. I think it's different for each person. I don't think it's one cookie cut way to determine, where the root of this, you know, sexual preference, or I don't even want to call it a sexual preference, because again, I'm saying you don't really know whether it's a choice, or whether this person was born that way, or whether some type of trauma happened with them for them to become that. It could be any of those. It's not one thing. So I think regardless to whether you chose it, you're born with it, or some trauma happened with you, I think it's some programs. I think it needs to be some programs out there for people like that. And I feel like you should fight for your right to be whatever you want to be. You know? Like, for example, Black women wear weave, right? There needs to be some type of program out there for Black women who wear weave. We should come together and say, fuck this. Black women with weave have rights. I'm joking. I'm just joking around. It's like, no, but seriously, seriously. I just feel that um it's a lot of poverty. It's a lot of miseducation in regards to this topic. It's a lot of people being judgmental and cruel. It's a lot of people misunderstanding. Um, and a lot of it has to do with religion. People want to use the Bible as their basic instructions before leaving Earth, not realizing that the Bible was designed for a specific set of people in that day and age. And you can tell by the vocabulary and the way things are described in that book, that it was designed for another set of people at another day and age. And when we sit down and we talk about revelations in the future, like people try to say that the end is near, how do we know the end hasn't happened in regards to that book already? And a brand new era is basically the rebirth, and everyone has already, and revelations, or the time that Jesus came back, already came. And we're just living in post revelations. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you know? That book is so old fashioned and designed for a different set of people with a different set of mind, a state of mind. And everything is so drastically different. And it hasn't been like this just this year. It's been like that for many, many years on top of years. People stop living how people lived in the Bible. Oh my God, so long ago. so long ago. Like, I mean, it's just so many years. It's like, how could you apply this entire book to your life? Now, I'm only saying this in regards to the diversity amongst us. Because again, there are certain things in the Bible that you can apply. All right. For instance, when you look at Proverbs, okay, it's a lot of good advice inside of Proverbs. You know, it's a lot of bad advice as well inside of the Bible in general, but it's a lot of good advice. And I've said before, I have no issue with Christians or church, because a lot of people think because I'm Buddhist or because I have these viewpoints in regards to Christianity or religion, that for some reason I hate Christians or I'm anti, I'm the antichrist and shit like that. No. It's more of, I just understand that Christianity is one of those things that limits your beliefs. It makes you be inside of this box. It makes you not accept diversity and the differences between everyone. It makes you think cookie cut and that we're all supposed to be identical and the same. We're not supposed to all have different personalities and different ways of living and a different a voice outside of what's being taught to you. You understand? So when Christians come to me, they for some reason they seem just identical to me because they always all say the same thing all of the time. It reminds me of a brainwashing technique. It's almost like they are regurgitating the same information. So when I'm talking to one Christian, it almost feels like I'm talking to another Christian because they're all identical. They're all using the same vocabulary. They're all, doing the same thing. But Christians aren't the only ones guilty of that. People who follow trends, I call them sheeple. People who follow trends, who say all of the popular vocabulary, like the slang that everybody uses, that reminds me of a form of brain washing as well. Because if you listen to a whole bunch of people who have all been watching the same thing or reading the same thing, they tend to have the same vocabulary, they tend to dress the same, they tend to do the same thing. It's like that in the LGBT community as well, because when you see one transgender person, right, you see another transgender person and they're almost identical in regards to personality. It's almost like a flamboyant type of thing, I want to say. It's I don't know. It's just each tribe, and we'll go back to this tribe thing so people can understand what I'm saying. Because I always say, if you aren't interested in anything positive that's on my channel, you're just not part of my tribe. So each tribe has a different way that they behave. And I feel like each tribe should have like some type of housing or programs or something to help them excel in life. It almost reminds me of that movie Divergent. Have you seen Divergent? I was just watching it the other day and my mother had seen it before and she was sitting here explaining it to me. I was like, I don't understand Divergent. I don't get it because I'm sitting here trying to work and watch Divergent at the same time and play with Justice at the same time. So I'm sitting here missing pieces of Divergent, not understanding. So while I'm watching it, she's having to explain it to me as well because I'm missing pieces. But this conversation that I'm having in regards to different tribes and different groups of people, it reminds me of Divergent. And if you haven't seen Divergent, go check Divergent out. Okay, because it reminds me um of that. But yeah, I just feel like instead of being angry with each other for the choices that we made that are maybe different from somebody else's, I think we need to accept the fact that there are different tribes and to respect each tribe for whatever it is that they stand for. You don't have to agree. You could just be a part of the tribe that you agree with. But when you look across the room or you look across the street, you see another tribe getting offended by what they do, like it affects your life, is just retarded to me. I don't understand that. I don't understand it at all. at all. But that's the reason why a lot of people end up homeless, and of course because of the mismanagement of money, and me being in the situation I was in, I had it. Like when I was pregnant and I got left there pregnant by somebody that I thought would help me get through that low, because we all have lows and highs in life. And when I was sitting there in that extended stay hotel, sick and pregnant, needing the father of my child to be of some assistance to me, and he wasn't there, I said to myself, I'm never going through this again. And as I um, improve my life, um, I'm going to use my YouTube channel as a piece of it, as a way to teach people about financial management so they won't get into situations that I have gotten into or Miley Carter has gotten into, because a lot of people get into this. So as I'm sitting here and I'm improving my finances, it's a lot of stuff that I could teach people. I was checking my credit yesterday, and I was filing disputes, and I'm going to do a video about filing disputes on your credit report. And so I was filing like disputes with TransUnion and Experian, and I am approximately 59. Wait a minute, what is it? 58.98. I am $5,898 in debt. So my credit score is actually lower than my mother's, and my mother's debt is a lot higher. Like my mother's debt is ridiculous. You hear me? But here I am only owing $5,898 in debt. And so I'm looking at what I owe. So I owe, and it's funny that I know what it is, right? So listen to this. This is what I owe. You're gonna be like, what? Okay, so my credit score is six something. It's like 658, I think. I gotta go look. I gotta go back and look. It's something like that. Okay, now a great score for me, to me, 800. I want 800. I know you need a 700 to get something like a decent home. But right now I'm at like 650, maybe 648, something like that. Okay. So I'm $5,868 in debt. Let me tell you what I owe. I owe Comcast cable money. I owe T-Mobile money. I owe Gas South money. I owe Gwinnett Medical emergency for ambulance ride. All right. And I owe money for a vehicle that I had, my Honda Accord, that got repossessed. All right. And then there's like this eviction on my record for many, many years ago, to where they had toxic mold in my apartment and I got severely ill. So I went to TransUnion and Experian, all of the bureaus, to dispute the eviction because they're dismissed. Because I couldn't understand. Like, here's what, when I first started looking for a place in San Francisco, right? Because the cost of living here is ridiculous. But they have this thing called a credit online manager, on-site manager. And they use the on-site manager, not a person, but it's like a website. They use it to check your credit to see how many your rental history. And so I'm looking at this on-site manager shit. And for some reason, it says I was evicted like 7 times, but from the same place. So I'm thinking, why is it on my credit is an eviction from 7 times? It doesn't make any sense, right? I'm like, the fuck, right? So when I first seen it, because they give you a copy of your credit report. So I'm looking, the on-site manager. I'm looking at my credit and I'm like, why the hell is it 7 evictions on my site? So I go to look for my evictions. I go, evictions are like public record. This is the reason why I decided to sign an affidavit to get my child support information private and to get everything in regards to my life private. Now you can't look online and see anything in regards to Soncerae because all of my stuff is private now because I had to sign to get, you know, everything like closed because everything's sealed because trolls and shit would like to dig deep into my past and post my private information but then swear up and down that I dox people. I never understood that. Like trolls would dig deep into my um past and stuff like that, like shit they ain't supposed to be looking at and will post it on YouTube, but then tell everybody that I dox everybody. It's just so weird. Like people on YouTube are weird, but that's a whole nother live stream. So anyway, I decided to look at this and on the court records site because it's looking at it on the on-site manager, you see your evictions and you're sitting there and you're like, what? I'm seeing 7 evictions. So I said, let me go and look on the court thing and see. And so all of these evictions were dismissed, right? And the reason why they were filed as the evictions to begin with is because I was paying my rent late. I was wondering, like, why I had all these evictions. It was because I was paying my rent late. So they would file for an eviction too early instead of like I thought you file evictions, landlords file evictions maybe 30 days or 3 months after you don't pay. Like you have to really be delinquent in order for a company to file for eviction. So I thought, right? So this person that was working at the place I was living, um, anytime I would be like a day late or maybe a week late, because I think the longest I've been with not paying my rent back then, at least, this is like what, 2014, 2013, something like that. I would go like a week late because if your pay period is every 2 weeks, you gotta wait for your pay. So sometimes I would fuck up, right? And I'm so bad at this sometimes. I would fuck up my money in my mind and try to rely on Wells Fargo to tell me how much money I'm making. Oh my God. Oh, how much money in my account? Please don't do that. Please, guys, do not rely on your bank to tell you how much money you have because they'll pull out late payments or like they'll pull out payments not when you spent it, but they'll pull it out later. Like I'd go to the store and I'd spend $30, right? And I'm thinking that $30 left my account that day. And it did. It would leave like a week later. So I would be thinking I have money when I didn't. So I had to stop relying on my bank to tell me my balance and to actually do the math in my mind myself and just stop looking at my bank account balance altogether because I was literally relying on my bank account balance to tell me. So I would just like, if I wanted to go get some shoes, I'd look at my bank account and see how much money I spent already. But sometimes they wouldn't have pulled out a payment that they were supposed to. So I'm thinking $80 is there when it isn't because because I done spent the $80 already on some other shit. So anyway, I would do that. And then I would have to wait till the next pay period to pay my rent. And so when I would do that, the person that was working in the leasing office would file for eviction sooner than they were supposed to. And so for some reason that was the reason why I was like 7 evictions on my credit report that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, that doesn't even sound, how do you get evicted from the same place 7 times. Like, they don't go together. So that's why I started looking at my credit report, and I said I was going to, like, use my channel to do like financial videos. So I said, let me look at my credit report and see um what disputes I can file, and then speak to everybody, about that. Because, some people don't know that they can go to these bureaus and file a dispute because some of that shit don't belong there. Here's another thing I had to dispute. Someone, I guess with a similar name than mine, decided that they wanted to get an apartment in Beltsville, Maryland. I've never lived in Beltsville, Maryland. I'm from Fort Washington, Maryland. But it was like this person had been paying on this apartment and had stopped paying last year. And for some reason it was on my credit. And so I had to dispute that because I was like, I don't live in fucking Beltsville, Maryland. I've been in Atlanta for 17 years and spent 2 of those 17 in Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, who the fuck is this? So I had to dispute that. And then I had to dispute the evictions. Because see, here's the thing. If you don't tell them, they'll leave it there. Like, if no one contacts the credit bureaus, they will leave that shit there. If stuff needs to be updated on your credit report and it's not, it's because no one has alerted them. They'll leave that shit there. So it's up to you to like call and say, okay, if like, for instance, if a collections agency was coming after you for something and you started to pay and now the account is closed, if you don't tell your credit bureau that, your credit score could be low. And here's another thing that I can't stand about uh, consolidation. Consolidating let me go. First of all, let me rewind. Let me explain to you why my credit score is so low and my debt is so low. Because it seems like because my debt is lower, my credit score would be higher. Because my debt is only $1,868. That is not a lot. Do you know how much debt people have? Oh my God, that is fucking nothing. Okay. The reason why my credit score is as low as it is and my debt is as low as it is because I've never gotten a credit card. So what Credit Karma and all of these credit companies are trying to do is get me to get a credit card. But credit cards scare the fuck out of me. Like, that's why I've never gotten them. Because I grew up in the 80s. So I will always hear people, like adults, talk about how having a credit card screwed them up. So I have just been terrified of credit cards. So I will not get one. And that's why my credit is like low like that. Like, six anything is low to me. Because like I said, 800 is amazing. And 700, that'll get you some decent shit. But I would prefer my credit to be almost 800, my score. So the debt that I have, which should be easy to pay off, I mean, the debt. Like, I can't believe, I mean, like, it's not a lot, but at the same time, for me, it's a lot. It's a lot. And for any other person who doesn't owe 5,600, what is it, 5,860, what did I say? 5868. For those of you that don't owe that, you're like, that's a lot of money. But honestly, in regards to, listen, I've seen a lot of different credit reports. Most people's debt is over like $20,000. Most people. And I'm sitting here with $5,868 in debt because I refuse to get a credit card. I refuse to get a credit card. And another thing that I do is like a car. Like, I got a Honda Accord, and if you've been watching me on YouTube for a while, you remember when my car got repossessed because I was asking for donations. When my car got repossessed, right, I actually took out a loan to get that car from Wells Fargo. I don't like taking out loans. I hate it. So I don't want to take out a car loan. I don't want to take out for a mortgage or anything. And this is why my credit is like the way that it is, because if I take out a, I don't like to have shit in my name either. I don't like to have shit in my name. I don't like long-term shit. I like for instance, I like to rent because I feel like I want to pay for something for as long as I'm using it. I don't want to have something forever unless it's some land. That's the only thing I want to spend money on. I want land and I want to build stuff on top of it. Okay. I don't want to have to take out a loan to be a quote unquote homeowner and then have a loan and have 30 years to pay it off to the bank. That's stupid to me. And it's the same thing with cars. I don't want to take out another car loan and it looks like it's my car. You know what I'm saying? Seems like it's my car, but technically it isn't. It's the bank's car because if I decide to not pay my car note, they can come and take my car from me. So technically it's not my car. And it's the same thing with foreclosure. Like everybody's so happy to be a homeowner, but if you don't pay your damn mortgage, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So to me, it's like, why not just pay for something for as long as I'm using it? So I rent everything and I lease cars. I don't take out loans for shit. And so that's a problem though, because our country is built off of debt. You have to have like some type of, debt in order to to get shit here. You have to have some type of credit and good credit to where you if you're taking out a loan, you're paying on it every month. And so they're trying to get me to get a credit card. So they want me to charge something, borrow money from them basically. And that's how you basically build your credit up higher and higher and higher. You pay them back. Now, I think the reason why my credit is at 650 or whatever it is over 600, is because I do lease. So that leasing, I guess, helps because you have to pay weekly or monthly for your lease. So I think that could be why my car lease is probably why my credit is higher than the average person. Because you would think if let's say I didn't lease my vehicles, right? If I didn't lease my vehicles and I owed the people I said I owe Comcast, T-Mobile, Gas South, and I owe for ambulance ride, right? I think my credit score would be lower. It would be six something. It would be much lower because I didn't lease anything. I didn't have something to pay every month. Like you have to have something that you're paying for every month. Because basically what your credit score or your credit report is basically showing everybody your patterns in regards to money. Your patterns. What are you paying monthly? What are you doing with your money every month? So if you show a pattern, that's all your credit report is. So if you're consistently showing like this amazing pattern, you can basically get whatever you want inside of this country. But to me, to keep myself safe and out of debt, like I always just wanted to stay out of debt. My biggest thing was I don't want debt. I don't want debt. I don't want debt. Everything else didn't matter to me. I was like, I don't care if I don't have a house or a car. I just don't want to be in debt because debt. I would see. I think this shit just scared me. I think I saw people in debt, or the fact that I saw my mom file for bankruptcy, or I heard about bankruptcy so much from people. It just scared me. It scared me, and I came from a home to where we were financially stable. Like I don't. My childhood wasn't bad to a point to where we were living in poverty. You see what I'm saying? Like I've never lived in poverty, okay, until I got older. And like I said, I was in college and I was like sleeping in the train. Yeah. But for the most part, I never really lived in poverty. I've always lived in a nice area. My mother and my family and everybody, my stepfather, everybody always made sure I never lived in poverty. So I think the concept of debt and poverty went hand in hand to me, you know. Now I know what being poor it is. Like I said, I filed for food stamps when I was in 2004. So I've seen it. You know what I mean? I've actually seen other people experience it as well. So I think it just puts some type of fear in my heart. So I handle my finances a lot different than the average person. But when I see videos of people talking about my money, like I've seen people say I'm not financially stable, or I'm an unstable person, or I'm broke, or I'm a scam artist, or I'm fraud, or something. I noticed that it's always surrounded by something that has to do with money. Have you noticed that? Like, I think people feel some type of way about money because either they don't have it themselves or they don't quite understand how it works. So, especially in regards to charity and philanthropy, and honestly, I feel like when I'm on YouTube, and this might be harsh, but I want to say it anyway. A lot of the time when I'm on YouTube, I feel like a lot of people in my audience are used to living in poverty. Like they aren't financially in a good place. Like a lot of people love the fact that I would do TV recaps because they couldn't afford cable. So they will watch YouTube because YouTube's free. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of people inside of my audience aren't financially stable. So they don't necessarily understand anything that has to do with charity or philanthropy or donations or blah, blah, blah. And then you have those people who swear up and down they're so smarty art and they know what's going on with business licenses. Like somebody sent me the other day, somebody sent me a email talking to me about my documents of your corporation if your corporation was dissolved in such and such and such and such. And I said to myself, why would I tell you? Like, here's the thing. Why would I tell you? Like a lot of times with the information in regards to my money, I don't want to tell people because people overthink shit. They think, like, I swear to God, they think so hard that they end up overthinking and ridiculous. If I just, like, it shouldn't have been, first of all, make it seem like Block 11 and Block Dimes, all of my companies and stuff aren't owned by me. Someone was trying to say they weren't owned by me. But the fact that someone would sit there and try to say something like that is crazy to me. But again, and I've said this in a million videos and on my community tab, that some people just don't have a life. So they try to look at the people who do have a life and try to make it seem like it's a facade. And the people who do that the most are the people who hide behind being anonymous. Because a lot of people who are anonymous on YouTube or any social media platform, they're hiding so much of themselves that when I share something real about my life, they're like, oh, I would never share anything like that. Shit, I can barely show my face on this motherfucker. She's got to be lying. You know what I mean? So they try to do whatever they can, and then they think so hard and they overthink, and then they end up posting inaccuracies about me all over the place. And so um, I was talking to my mother yesterday when I told her that I wanted to do a video about my credit report, right? I asked her, I said, should I tell everybody my score? She was like, I don't think you should because they're gonna make something out of it. I said they make something about out of anything. Like one guy was talking shit about me yesterday, right? So I came in his comment section and responded like, yo, if you actually did your research, you wouldn't sound so ignorant to me when you speak about me. Because when you speak about me, you speak about me in a like it's facts, when really it's just number one, your opinion, and number two, your fucking misinterpreted viewpoint or perspective in regards to a story. Like people will tell you they're telling the truth about my story, and then you come to my channel and hear my story and be like, oh, this shit is nothing like that person explained it. Because people make up their own version of my life. So I was telling this clown, you're making up your own version of my life, but you sit here and you try to sound intellectual when really you sound stupid as hell to me or anyone. So when I put this in his comment section, he decided to create an entire totally different video with another clickbait title, like Soncerae, she would ape shit in my comment section. I was like, these people, these trolling, and it's mainly it's another person that can't show their damn face. It's the anonymous people. It's always anonymous people. And sometimes I feel like it's somebody in my past or something who's angry that I let their ass go or something like that. I always feel like it's somebody like that. But anyway, so she was like, I don't think you should tell because people are gonna do blah blah blah. And I said, if I lived my life based off of what other people thought of me, I would never be able to help another person. Like I would never be if I hold off what I learn and I don't teach what I learn and teach it from a relatable standpoint, I can't be as effective as I would like to be in the lives of other people who would like to learn or who would like to improve their life. Like I have to lead by example. I have to say, hey, my credit is fucked up. I'm $5,868 in debt, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to get out of this. And that way you can get out of this the same way. That's all I can do. I don't like to try to make it seem like, let me do this hypothetical story for you so I can teach you a lesson. Nah, I just tell you the shit. I'd be like, this is what happened to me, and here's the lesson you should learn from it. Bing, message. That's all. That's all I can do. I don't want to use anybody else's story. I don't want to be hypothetical. I want you to actually see a real person and made real improvement out of it, real success and real financial stability. I want you to see a real person whose heart has been broken and mended it. I want you to see a real person who is really a single mother who's going through something such and such, because we see single mothers all of the time and we hear about single mothers and people statistic, but they rarely show you the actual single mother that is that statistic. Because for me, like I said in another video, right? I feel like I'm always constantly repeating myself too. I'm like a broken ass fucking record, but you got to be a broken record in order to teach. Everything is about repetition. So, like I was saying in another video, a lot of the single mothers out there that I know are nothing like how media or how people try to perceive them. Like, not all single mothers are living in poverty. Not all single mothers are happy to put a man on child support. Not all single mothers are putting a man on child support and trying to keep him away from his kids. Not all single mothers are pissed that their child's father decided to move on with another woman. You see what I'm saying? Like, people try to make it seem like every single mother is ghetto and wretched and she's a baby mama because she couldn't be some man's wife and she's not worth being married to, type of negative thing. And most of the single mothers I know, they aren't living in poverty. They have good finances. They work every day. I mean, I just don't see it. Like, I don't know where people are getting this single mothers are X, Y, and Z from. I just don't see it, and then when I walked in the child support office, right, I saw men in there getting child support from their children's moms. And they were talking about how bad their children's moms were. And I said, where is this stuff coming from? Because I don't know any females like that. But I guess it's just the type of female I am. You attract who you are, right? Excuse me. So if I'm a good person, I'm going to attract good people. So all of my homegirls, like, they don't do that shit. They take very good care of their kids, and they ain't stunting their son's father or daughter's father out there doing whatever he's doing. They just take care of their kids and get their child support check, or some don't get their child support check. They just take care of their kids. And they're nurses and damn accountants, and they have decent careers and nice houses and nice cars. So I never seen a single mother really that was, let me just say, when I was in Atlanta, okay, how about this? When I was in Atlanta and I lived like in Stone Mountain, sometimes I would see women with kids and they would look hood rich. Maybe they were driving, I don't know, Chargers with rims on it and smoking weed and wearing colorful weave and all types of shit like that. I would see it, but they wouldn't be like my friend. I don't know any, none of my friends are like that. I would see that shit from a distance. But people try to make it seem like that's majority of black single mothers. Majority of black single mothers are ratchet and ghetto, blah, blah, blah. But that's not reality at all. Like maybe it's just not my reality because majority of the single mothers I see aren't like that. So when people start talking about statistics and stuff, statistically, the single mothers out there are uneducated. I'm like, yo, every single mother I know done been to college, or she in some type of nursing program, or she a phlebotomist or some shit like that. You know, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm about to get off this live stream, but I want you guys to go to Miley Carter's channel and check her out. Subscribe if you want to. Donate to her if you want to. I don't know her PayPal information or her Cash App information. You would have to go to her channel and find that out. But she has some amazing supporters. So if you want to be a supporter as well, you can. Don't go over there with hating. Don't go over there trolling and hating, please. Okay, show some love and support. Again, I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. I tell you guys all the time, please use your time wisely. Do not waste your time. Don't nobody have time for the bullshit. Do not get on YouTube looking at negative shit. If you come here, please come here looking for some knowledge or some entertainment or some fun. Do not waste your time on that drama and that negativity, okay? Please, that is a waste of time. Do something a little bit more productive. If it isn't about improving your life, do not watch it. If it isn't about making you laugh or happy, do not watch it. That negative shit or fussing about race and fussing about listen, don't nobody got time for that, all right? If you've come to this channel and you're not looking to fellowship and have discussions and intellectual conversations with people who are intellectual and chilling and on some positive shit, this channel ain't for you. This is not your tribe. So I'm gonna need for you to bounce. All right. Those of you who are here on some positive shit, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being in the comment section. I appreciate you being inside of my live chats and emailing me. If you have any video topic suggestions or or you want relationship and lifestyle advice, you can email me at soncerae@gmail.com. If you would like to send me a donation, whether it's for justice, because some people want to send justice. Like somebody tell me I should get a P.O. box so they can send justice clothes. Okay, because I'm not giving out my address. I'm not gonna do it. I gotta stand somewhere. I'm not doing it. If you would like to give justice something, email me and we can try to figure out a way because I don't have a P.O. box. So, some people just give money, If you want to donate to give justice something, you can. If you just want to donate because I'm, giving you a good word, a good message of wisdom, you can do that. You can donate to Happiness Seeds, which is Justice's College Trust Fund. And you can do that via PayPal to welovesoncerae@gmail.com, or you can cash at me at $revenue DM. Those links are in the description box, or you can just use the super chat button. It is up to you. Doesn't matter to me. If you don't want to donate, you don't have to. Please do not send me your last. I don't want to have anyone's last amount of money. If you got paid Friday and you got some extra money left over that you want to, spend just out of the kindness of your heart, please do that. But if it's your last, I need for you to go download the Stash app, or you can download Acorn. You can put that money, you can invest that money, okay, with Stash you need is $5 to sign up. And with Acorn, it takes change. I think all you need is change for Acorn to start investing that money. So you can get yourself in a position to where you have a lot of money to where you can share it. You know what I mean? And that's my goal, to have a substantial amount of money so I can be able to share it with people, my financial knowledge and my money and my wealth, so that it could help, underprivileged people or people who may not have the education that they should have got. They can get it from here and we can improve together. You guys are going to watch me become a millionaire again. That first time I really, really fucked it up. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. But this time, you guys are gonna watch me improve. You're gonna see if I fail at some things or if I succeed. I will be very honest with that. But just stay tuned to my channel, and money will definitely be something I continue to talk about. Business as well, philanthropy, marketing, really crazy self, of course. But again, I appreciate you watching. And if you've subscribed, thank you for subscribing. Make sure you like and share. Follow me on Instagram, or Justice on Instagram. Justice's Instagram is Raising Justice. It's RAESING Justice. Or you can follow me on Instagram. It's Soncerae_XO. Okay. I appreciate you watching. Bye. Have vision and stay focused.